I'm back. I had COVID. I had COVID for about 3 weeks. It was great. Recommend it. And because, coughing is part of life too. And now I'm feeling pretty good, but I've been a while since I could put a video together, and it was Christmas and stuff like that. But here we are. I'm going to just launch our current version of Novillo. Here we go. And what we're going to see here is I'm going to take a look here at a previous project that I've been working on. And here's what it looks like. It'll take a second to load. It's actually getting a bit bigger now than it was. And when we shift into the composition, we have here this image, which I've posted a couple of still things about on Instagram if you've seen them there. And basically I can scroll through this and you can see that there's this, nothing happens. It just kind of goes through. One of the things that I'm noticing though that is kind of key is that with this amount of line work, all these lines are getting messages every time I swipe, hundreds of them. I think there's 1,350 lines or objects in this drawing right now. Each one of them gets messages multiple times a second, does a lot of processing to figure out what they should look like. But even if they're not changing, they do the same processing, and this is slowing things down quite a bit. Nevertheless, it's still within limits, and this is a simulator, but I'm beginning to realize that I'm going to have to optimize a lot of what I've done in a later stage, which I kind of knew, but it's how it is. So I'll just get here. When I get up to the 100 mark, then I'm going to make this a little bit easier. I'm going to jump ahead to frame 98. And if I get here, I'm at the verge of 100, which is arbitrarily where it changes over to the next drawing. When I get to that 100, I get this. Now this is another drawing. This is actually fine because it's part of the idea of the narrative. You go from one scene to another scene. And in this case, it's a bit of false color to try things out. I don't know where that orange, I just messed up. But I can see substantially that what I have here is the same platform drawing with the clock as the image we were looking at previously. And this image of the girl at the bottom is, if you remember the previous previous composition, it's the same girl, but now in a different pose. She's supposed to be sitting on the suitcase that she had next to her, which is in exactly the same position in this frame as it was in the previous one. And that's clearly not working. The crowd is gone, the train is gone. This one actually you can scroll through faster because it has less resistance, but it doesn't do what I actually want it to do. What is supposed to happen here, and I'm gonna just once again go back to the, well actually I'm gonna cancel that, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to the first composition again. What it's supposed to do here is what's happening here. Each one of these objects has been prioritized, and you can see that if I go to this feature here. Each one of these items, the platform, the what are these things here? The train, the tracks, the train, the clock, things that have odd names that aren't really body fill. All these things are corresponding to different objects in the thing, and they all have this number associated with them, which gives them a priority in terms of whether they're in front of or behind other things. You can see generally the numbers go up, and they've all been set individually in order to allow whatever the priority was in the original drawings, them to actually be in front of and behind the things they want them to be. So the lines need to be in front of the fills, and the fills for one layer of people have to be in front of the fills for the layer of people before that. That's how this has been organized. So when I go to the next frame, the next composition, which I did before, but let's do that again. I'll go to frame 49, sorry, 98, so I can scroll through the next one. You can see this happens, and actually all this stuff is in there. I think if I do this, maybe not. No, in some circumstances it will show you the actual drawing. You can see the fill for the girl is already in the drawings. The suitcase and the suitcase lines are in the drawing, but those things are somehow disappearing. And you can see that those are, again, here. Let me just find that. So things like the suitcase, the sitting girl, the lines, these all have values associated with their priority front and back, but it's not working. They're just disappearing. Anyway, it's a bit of a frustration, and I've been sitting thinking, well, maybe I'm doing something fundamentally wrong. If I go back here, I'm going to relaunch the Novillo because it still needs a lot of relaunching to do things you want to do. I've created a test file here, and this test file looks like this. And in this case, we have one composition with 2 shapes in it, and if I scroll up through it, it scrolls pretty fast through the first 100 things. It'll go to the next one, and you'll see that the next one comes up, and it's fine too. Now the key thing here is that this is not the order that these shapes are in the original drawings, and it just cycles around to the end. The dark purple shape is actually in the original drawing behind the kind of pinky red shape. And in the second one, the yellow shape is actually behind the gray blue shape. So this is, and what I've done is I've used the same prioritizing system here to choose the different shapes and give them different priorities. And so this is actually working pretty well. So shape 4 is the gray one, and it's got a value of 0. Shape, 3 has got a value of 10, so it puts it in front. So all that's working, and it's the same mechanism as is in the composition and the thing that we've just been looking at, and it's working perfectly. So I thought that maybe something was wrong with the way I was managing layering, and now I've concluded it's not that, it's something else that's going on. Anyway, that's the state of progress I'm at. This new test file that I created with these shapes is something I can use to start to test things. And one of the things that, if I go back to the original one, is going on here. If I choose the original thing here and load it up, it takes a second, bigger file, going out to the internet to check if everything's changed. If I go here, one of the things that's different is that these compositions are made up of multiple drawings. You can see here, there's a crowd, and then there's the empty platform, and then there's the train. 3 different drawings composited together into one. If I go to the other composition here, then what we see is the same thing is true. We have the same drawing of the empty platform, and then we have the girl sitting drawing. And these are composited together as well. So there's a common drawing between the 2 of them, but the thing that's screwing up in this one is that in this particular composition, it's not drawing the second overlay drawing, whereas in the test composition, I'll go back to that one more time to point it out. Here we go. We can see that each composition only contains one drawing, shape test, and then if I go to the other composition, shape test 2. So there's no combination of multiple drawings, and I've kind of concluded that that's where the problem is arising from. But the confusing part is that it's working just fine in the first composition in the other project. You think that coding is going to be sort of a rational process, and it is in the end, but what you often learn is that your own irrationality disguises itself as rationality, and you write code that seems perfectly good to you, but actually contains at its core something, that just contains ghosts, basically. And that's where I'm at right now. But I'm encouraged because I don't think that the basic front-back prioritization is broken. It's just something I've got to figure out, starting with maybe it's something to do with multiple drawings. Anyway, it's been a while since I got one of the things out. It's a little bit long. I'm going to put it together quickly and get it up there. And there'll be more coming as I solve this problem. The last little thing I'm going to say is that what I've been working on that made me discover this is that from the very beginning, Novillo has been able to put sequences of compositions one after the other on the screen. So as you keep scrolling, you keep ending up with the next composition, and then back to the beginning, which is the desired behavior. The fact that I just needed to make sure that it would actually still do that. And it does, but it doesn't quite do it quite right. Damn it all. So I'm going to get to the bottom of that, and at that point, this really starts to get much closer again to the storytelling system that I'm wanting and that is working for the most part very well. Okay, that's it. I'm out. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Dan.